Hello, Chris Samartage, Brotherhood of Light Show, current YouTube channel. And usually I do music shows on my YouTube channel, but with my 35-year career in the music business. But I'm going to do a couple decades before, which are really close to me, which is when I used to live up in Lake Tahoe, and I used to ski at Squaw Valley. And I just watched this movie called Hotdog the Movie. It was filmed in 1983 in Squaw Valley in Tahoe City. And so it's really, Squaw Valley is a place in time, and this movie captures it. So let's check out the show. Okay, so here is the promo poster for the movie Hotdog and some promo photos. Okay, Hotdog the Movie. So I have a bunch of interesting facts. I have an interesting story, the cast, the writer, the origin story, and the location. Squaw Valley, a place and time. Now, the reason I say that is it's now called Palisades, and we're talking about Squaw Valley 30 years ago, and this is a special time capsule. You're going to see Squaw Valley back in those days, so hope you viewers enjoy it. So, some fun facts. Mike Marvin, the writer of the movie Hotdog, did a movie in 1972, ski movie called Earth Rider. Now, he's from Tahoe City, so he was a true local. So a lot of the things you're going to see, you see in the movie Hotdog and you see in this show I'm doing, will be stuff that really went down in that area in Squaw Valley and Tahoe City, which was a much different time than today. So Earth Rider, I'm going to give a little quick recap. It starts off, there's a guy in the Nevada Correction Facility. He's out working the yard. He tries to escape. He runs towards Highway 50, and he gets in a van, and they go on this massive ski trip all over North America. And they ski, and this friend of mine, Bob Stokes, was one of the skiers in there. And they have this, wonderful ski trip, and all this. He does some great ski photography and imagery, and it's like a modern movie, unlike the Warren Miller's kind of dorky ski movies. And the very end of the movie flashes back to the guy running to the van, and he gets shot in the back, and it's all a dream. So that's Earth Rider, 1972. I saw that movie I was living up there in the winter of 72, 73, and I saw the movie at, I think, Squaw Valley Theater or maybe Tahoe City. But so then Marvin disappears for like 10 years. So Marvin comes back to Tahoe area, and he's got supposedly it was $1 million budget, which is pretty cheap to make a movie. And he's got a film crew, directors, all that stuff, and he has a script called Hotdog. And the first opening sequence is shot in Sierraville, California. And this guy Harkin on the right here and Sonny meet at this gas station, and they're supposedly traveling from Idaho to Lake Tahoe. And Harkin is going to be in a ski competition in Squaw Valley, and she gets dumped off out of a truck, and he ends up feeling sorry for her and taking her under his wing, and they travel to Squaw Valley from Idaho. Okay, so this is a spoiler alert. I'm going to tell the whole plot of the story, which is it's kind of a B movie and a B story, but it's got so many great scenes of Squaw Valley and brings me right back, and hopefully the people, they're going to see this on YouTube or Facebook and appreciate that. Anyway, Harkin is a rancher from Bonners Ferry, Idaho, and he's an expert skier, and he's kind of a hillbilly or a hick, but he's heading down to Squaw Valley. He has no idea what Squaw Valley or California is like. Now, Sunny is kind of an 18-year-old wild child runaway type chick, and she's just basically hitching to San Francisco, and she finds this guy in some Potek town on the way down, and they're both kind of like Midwestern type people, and they have no idea what to expect when they get to California. Okay, so I'm going to get on some of the inside story of me where I lived and friends of mine there and all these scenes. So first of all, they arrive at the Fantasy Inn, which is in Tahoe City, and it used to be owned by the Deerfields, good friends of mine, and they sold it, and these people took it over and created it into a sex hotel. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Sex-oriented hotel. So there is Sonny and Harkin. They're checking in. Now they're checking into another friend of mine's hotel, which they used to shoot the movie, and that was the Cottonwood Lodge. That's Mike Gottlieb, and he owned the Cottonwood Lodge, and he, rented it out for them to shoot this sequence. And so the first sequence is them at the desk ringing the bell, and then the second shot is this woman is in a hot tub, and she has to answer the door because her tenants or customers are coming in, and this guy rises up between her legs with these goggles on, and then she gets up stark naked. And previous to walking in, Mike had hung my poster, that Ski Lake Tahoe poster on the right, which I made 3,000 of, and I sold them all over Tahoe and Reno. And this first shot is at Ski Lake Tahoe, and then this naked woman walks out, and there she is, and she's stark naked, frontal nudity, everything, and just a shocking welcome to California and Squaw Valley, Lake Tahoe. So now in the rooms of the Fantasy Inn, you've got shag carpet blue walls, you've got heart-shaped water beds, you've got heart-shaped hot tub bathtubs, and eventually Sonny and Harkin make it, and this is the scene where Sonny decides to hop in bed with Harkin and not let him get away. So there's the first sequence at the Fantasy Inn. Okay, so here we are at Squaw Valley, California. Now, the beautiful mountain, one of the premier ski resorts back in the day in 1980s, and originally it hosted the Olympics in 1960 there, and that's how it got on the map, and they actually developed it. It's like 3,000-foot vertical ski resort, and now it's called Palisades. And so I guess Squaw Valley wasn't politically correct. I don't know, but we all know it. All us locals that lived there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s know it as Squaw Valley. Okay, so as the action unfolds, we have the actor who plays David, who plays Dan O'Callaghan, the Irish washed-up freestyle drinking skier. Originally, he was in a huge hit the year before called American Werewolf in London. There's the poster for it. And so they brought him in as kind of one of the main stars. And there he is with Harkin. And what I did was I owned a graphic company. I made T-shirts and designs for Squaw Valley and all kinds of places. Restaurants, and I actually made all their bibs for this whole movie, which was a huge, many multiple printings we had to do it, and there they are. There's Harkin 149, and so he meets these guys, the Rat Pack, the USA ski team, freestyle ski team, and there they all are, and Harkin is there, and we've got Squirrel on the left, and then we got the Japanese guy, and then Theobald in the back. He's like a free dogger, and we've got Dan, who's the kind of leader of the pack. So the plot thickens. Here we go. So we got Rudy and the Rudiettes, which is his Austrian ski team, and they're competing against the American ski team, which is the Rat Pack on the left, and the Rudiettes are all wear black or dark colors, And Rudy is a world champion freestyler, number 101. And there he is. You can see he has this really arrogant attitude. And I think Steve Patton was his ski double, and the Moore brothers and this guy Trevor's were the Rudiettes who skied with him. And these guys in real life all skied together. They were kind of like they all wear dark colors and ski together now. Here's the American team, and they're more like, comic relief, but they're competing against each other. So this is the plot thickens here. Okay, so we got the Lone Star bar, formerly the Bear Pen. So if you were around the early 70s, it was known as the Bear Pen. Now this guy, Joe, bought it and turned it into Lone Star. He's an East Coast guy, and I guess there's a famous bar in New York called the Lone Star. So he named it Lone Star. And what I've been told is that he eventually moved on from running this Lone Star, which was a funky local club, and ended up getting involved with the Hard Rock Cafe and being one of the main guys involved, or the guy involved with the Hard Rock chain. So Joe had moved on. I don't know his last name, but this whole scene is the wet t-shirt contest, which when Marvin was growing up in Tahoe, at the Bear Pen, they would have these wet t-shirt contests, and the girl being squirted by the water hitting her breast is wearing a Squaw Valley V-neck yellow shirt, and I actually made that shirt for the movie to be used for this scene. So anyway, and then the scene turns into where they all take their top off, everybody's dancing topless, and it's really crazy and wild, and there's this kind of crazy mountain man looking guy. Robbie Marr was a local dude that played that character. You'll see him going crazy in the movie, and but in reality what would happen is there would be money, like a contest, and whoever kind of got the wildest and took their top off and shook around and danced around with the biggest set would probably win the money, and it wouldn't become this crazy orgy type thing like in the movie. But anyway, that's the scene, and this type of stuff did take place in the early 70s in Lake Tahoe. And you think this movie's kind of sexist, but really the women in the movie are more sexually aggressive than the men. Anyway, let's move on to the next page. Okay, so here we go. Speaking of sexually aggressive, we've got Shannon Tweed as Sylvia. Now, Sylvia is she's the diva of the movie. She's the rich girl who's the racer chaser. She is involved with the ski circuit, but she's basically there to capture the winner and have sex with him. So that's kind of her role and how she plays it. Now, Sharon Tweed was involved with Playboy magazine and was on the cover and featured in Playboy magazine back in the day before this movie. And there she is, the blonde in the middle. Well, obviously all the shots of her. And now she ended up marrying the bass player and leader of the band Kiss, Gene Simmons. And they had a TV show out. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with Sharon Tweed and Gene Simmons. So that's another interesting fact, that the diva, the mistress of the pro circuit, ended up marrying Gene Simmons. Okay, so the plot thickens. There's a big party over at Sylvia's, and she owns a mansion on the lake, and there she's coming down the stairs, and she sees Harkin and grabs him, and even though Harkin is with Sonny walks away, and Sylvia takes Harkin to the hot tub, and they have sexual encounters, and there's a lot of nudity, and so the next scene after that is Rudy gets Sonny and gets her in the sauna and starts giving her a massage, and you can figure out what happens after that. So now we've got, not only we have Harkin and Rudy, the two top skiers competition, but they're also swapping girlfriends and competing in that level. So we've got the stakes are even higher. Okay, so we got another classic scene here. This would take place also in Squaw Valley. So as you can see below me, there's the little fiberglass 4-man gondolas, and they're really funky, made out of fiberglass. Now they have this beautiful metal framed six-man gondola. Anyway, so our character Squirrel here with the white nose, he has to ride single, and of course this woman, this voluptuous ski bunny, gets in with him. And now the gondola is a 15-minute ride, so a lot of people had a fantasy of going in there with their girlfriend or significant others and having a kind of fun sexual encounter for 15 minutes before you get to the top. So that's what happens in this scene. He gets seduced by the girl, and then of course the 4 guys in the Rat Pack are riding in the gondola above him, and they're all looking down and, you know, thumbs up, hey, yeah, you know, as he's having a good time with this girl in his luck of the draw. So anyway, that's a comic relief in the movie. Okay, so now there's going to be this competition, skiing competition. There's the moguls, the ballet, and the aerials. And Harkin is going to throw this major triple, quadruple, whatever, jump. And he also skis really good in the moguls and is like neck and neck with Rudy. But so there's this competition, the 3 different types of sports that go on, and we'll address it on the next slide here. So now the plot thickens on the competition, and we go into the office where the freestyle guys are putting on the event, and they're saying, "Look, man, it's show business. It's not a real competition, and the European market is big, and it's going to be on TV. So we're kind of favoring the European guys here." And so Harkin, you know, kicks ass, but the judges up there in the Snowfest booth the fix is in, and Harkin ends up losing to Rudy, even though he did a better aerial and skied just as good as Rudy did throughout the process of the events. But the fix is in, and Harkin gets screwed, and they're all bummed out. And but that's the way it goes. Okay, so Rudy has won the trophy, and there he is on the left, and he's, you know, gloating at the Rat Pack, and he's the champion. And now on the right here, there's Sylvia, and she's now back with Rudy because he won the competition, because she's a racer chaser, and she goes with the winners. So now there she is, she's hugging up to him, and then the Rat Pack decides to get together and challenge Rudy and the Rudiettes to a Chinese downhill. Okay, we're going to get into what a Chinese downhill is next. Okay, so there's the shot where they challenge. They have $40 a man, winner takes all. The first guy down the mountain to grab the trophy wins. The trophy's sitting out at the edge of the slope at the bottom of the mountain. Okay, so Dan challenges Rudy to a Chinese downhill. And this Japanese guy who's on the Rat Pack team, the famous line is, "What the fuck is the Chinese downhill?" You know, it's pretty funny. Okay, so what the Chinese downhill is. Now the reality is, in 1973 and 74, I was living and working in Squaw Valley, and they actually had a Chinese downhill race. Now, what a Chinese downhill was, the ski resort closes down at 4 o'clock. All the lifts stop. The skiers all go kind of line the mountain run, but, you know, take their skis off, get to the side of the slope, and keep the slopes open. And then we have like 30 competitors. Now this slide on the right is the top of Siberia, is the top of Squaw Valley, and we'd have like 30 skiers lined up along the top of the mountain up there and up there, and they'd shoot the gun off. And now the contest when I was there was there was a bottle of tequila sitting at sitting on a table at the bottom of the mountain. The first guy to grab the bottle of tequila wins the Chinese downhill, and his prize is a bottle of tequila. There was no money involved that I can remember. And so it was just a great event, and there's a lot of great crashes, and I mean, so it's basically you just tucking and trying to find the fastest route down the mountain, and that was now there's so the second year they had it when I was there. There's this gully, and you're going down from the bottom of Siberia, and there's a mountain run. You got to take a right, got to take this kind of road down, and then cut off the road. But if you knew this route, you could go through this gully, and it was kind of a hazard, but you could do it. And apparently some guy was shooting down the gully in these long downhill skis, and they ended up like slashing one of the spectators, like cutting his clothes or his head or something. So that was it. They canceled the Chinese downhill. But Marvin remembers it and recreates it for this movie. Now, one of the scenes here on the left is Harkin gets pushed. He flies through the Gold Coast restaurant and bashes out a window and lands on where the picnic tables are. Now, my buddy Richie Rosa of Squaw Valley Glass installed this Hollywood glass that he flew through. So that was another little local thing. And then anyway, Harkin ends up like crashing through the tables, but through the tables, but also Rudy is right behind him, smashing through and knocking people out, that are having lunch at Gold Coast Restaurant, which is halfway up the mountain. And so there they are, all lined up, and this is from the movie, and they're going to jump off when Mike Marvin shoots the gun off. Okay, so there they are. Mike Marvin's up there. Actually, Mike Marvin that wrote the script is the guy who announces the Chinese downhill, shoots the starter gun off, and they all jump off this cornice, which you can see on these two left shots, and take off. And they kind of portray this as kind of a road warrior type battle where the skiers are knocking each other off and guys are flying off cliffs, and guys are kicking each other and using smoke bombs and all kinds of fun stuff. And it's a 10-minute sequence, kind of road warrior skier sequence where they're all wearing helmets and crazy downhill outfits. So the idea of the Chinese downhill is whoever gets that trophy first is the real winner, because we know that Rudy was cheated in by the referees, and Harkin really outskied him. So here they are, they go down, and then the final two guys are battling out, kind of like a roller derby, bashing each other with the shoulder, and Harkin just gets the jump on him right there in the blue, and Rudy's in the red, and he swoops in and grabs the trophy and wins the Chinese downhill. And they're celebrating. He's got the bottle of champagne, he's got the trophy, and he gets to keep the trophy. And the Rudy and the Rudyettes are all pissed off and snarling at him and walk away and say, well, we will be back, kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there is the Rat Pack on the right celebrating, and they were just a great fun group of guys and girls that were skiing together. And there's Sylvia and Harkin and everybody, and Dan from Werewolves. And so anyway, that's basically the end of the story. And now if you want to watch this movie, it's on Tubi, which is a streaming network, and you can watch it for free. And that's where I just saw it, and it stoked me to make this show. So I'm going to leave you guys with my intro slides. And anyway, thanks for checking it out, and hopefully all you Squaw Valley alumni and Lake Tahoe alumni people can watch this and and have fond memories of Squaw Valley and Lake Tahoe back in the 70s and 80s. Signing off.